Are Republicans patriotic enough to support a ban on Russian oil imports without turning it into a hustle? And that's the key. That's the key to the whole thing. You had a member of the Ukrainian parliament this morning, Oleksandra Ustinova, asked, how many Ukrainian deaths do Americans have to see on TV before we stop funding Putin by buying his oil? And I would add, how many Ukrainian deaths do we have to see on TV before Republicans stop using the Russian invasion of that country to promote the interests of American petro-billionaire oligarchs, American oligarchs? Now, just to put this in perspective, Germany's economic minister, a guy by the name of Robert Habeck, yesterday told Deutschlandfunk Radio that Germany has now positioned itself, keep in mind, 40% of Germany's fossil fuel imports come from Russia. Germany has now positioned itself to decouple altogether from Russia's oil and gas imports. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, this was considered unthinkable. He said yesterday, quote, "We are prepared for that now. I can give the all clear for the current winter and summer." How's he going to do it? Well, he pointed out there's 3 nuclear power plants still running in Germany, and they'll just keep them running for a while. They were supposed to decommission them this year. And also, they've got old coal-fired power plants around the country that haven't been used in a number of years that they can bring back online. He did say, however, that we're going to have to buy more gas, we're going to have to buy more coal from other countries, and that the price of gasoline and home heating in Germany will go up. So here's the German government saying to their people, as part of the price of supporting Ukraine, you're going to see an increase in gas prices. Republicans, on the other hand, have a completely different perspective on this. And the reason why, of course, is because in Germany, their Supreme Court has never said that if fossil fuel billionaires want to own German politicians, that's just fine, that's free speech. In fact, the German Supreme Court has said the exact opposite. It is illegal for politicians in Germany to be owned by billionaires. Here in the United States, though, our Supreme Court, with Citizens United in 2010, fully legalized the ownership of politicians by billionaires and by industries. And so you see Kyrsten Sinema owned by pharma. You see the entire Republican Party owned by big oil. I mean, you know, you see Joe Manchin owned by big coal. I mean, it goes on and on and on. This is a felony in Germany. It is standard operating procedure in the United States because of the Supreme Court, because of these 5 radicals on the Supreme Court who pushed this through with Citizens United back, 12 years ago. So now, how are Republicans responding to Ukrainian members of Congress saying, hey, America, why are you buying oil from Russia? And by the way, just to give you a little backstory on this, prior to the Bush-Cheney administration, we were not buying oil from Russia in any consequential way. There's a graph from the U.S. Energy Information Administration, from our federal government, that I published today over at HartmannReport.com in this op-ed, in today's op-ed, titled U.S. Imports from Russia of Crude Oil. And prior to 1990, they were 0. There was a little spike there in the mid-90s where we were buying just little bits of Russian oil. But it took off like a bat out of hell in 2002 when George W. Bush and Dick Cheney were running the country, 2 oil CEOs. We went up to 400,000 barrels a day during the Bush-Cheney administration. Now, when they left office, it went down a little bit, but, we're still importing, on average, maybe 100,000 barrels a day. And so the Republicans are saying, if you're going to cut that off, replace it by reauthorizing the Keystone XL pipeline and giving licenses to drill to big oil companies for even more of the Gulf Coast, the California coast, the East Coast of the United States. Let us further despoil the environment. This is a complete BS argument. Even if Joe Biden said, okay, cool, we're going to stop buying Russian oil tomorrow, and we're going to make up for it by doing exactly what the Republicans are asking for, it would be 2, 3, 4, 5 years before any of that oil came online. It wouldn't affect gas prices. This Republican argument is completely disingenuous. It is vile, for lack of a better word. And at the same time, you got Republicans putting stickers on gas pumps all over the United States saying, the price of gas, Joe Biden brought you that. Right. So what if Biden did say, okay, we're not going to buy any more oil? By the way, in the month of January, last month or the month before last, we imported no Russian oil. And this was in part because, part of it was probably caused by COVID, but most of it is because the Biden administration has been trying to wean us off foreign oil. Donald Trump just doubled down on foreign oil. But, in any case, let's say he does. What are Republicans going to say? Well, all we have to do to know how Republicans would respond to that is look how they responded to Jimmy Carter when you had the Arab oil embargo, or at least the echo of it. Jimmy Carter came out, gave a speech, and said, we need to turn our thermostats down. We need to insulate our houses. We need to wear sweaters. And we need to drive more slowly. We're going to change the national speed limit from 65 to 55. And what did the Republicans say? They called his speech the malaise speech, even though he never used the word. They said he was weak. They said it was anti-American to turn down your thermostats. They attacked him viciously for trying to reduce our oil consumption. What makes you think they won't do the same thing if Joe Biden, cuts off imports of Russian oil? He's in a complete no-win situation. If he doesn't cut off the imports of Russian oil, he's going to be attacked by the Republicans for allowing, a few $1 million a day. Right now, I think it would be probably on the order of around $10 million a day, a few $1 million a day from the United States to go to Russia. If he does cut off the Russian oil, then they're going to point to that and say, see, he's jacking up the price of fossil fuels in the United States, and he's not giving us the pipeline, and he's not letting us drill more oil wells. The obvious and easy answer to this is, okay, we're going to cut off Russian oil, and we're going to replace it with a couple $1 billion to expand solar and wind. This isn't rocket science. Solar and wind are both cheaper than oil as energy sources now. Cheaper. They have been for a decade. But Republicans don't care about what's cheaper or not cheaper. They don't care about what's right or not right. They don't care about the future and fate of the environment. In fact, they deny global warming is even happening, or if it is, as Trump said last week, it might just, move back your waterfront a little bit, or words to that effect. All they really care about is that the money from the fossil fuel billionaires and the big oil companies keeps flowing into the Republican Party. That's it. Period. So, expecting them to be honest about this, expecting them to do the right thing, expecting Republicans to say, yes, we're going to put America before our party is fantasy. It's absolute fantasy. And, betting that the GOP is going to do the right thing, not a bet that I'd want to take. It's 15 minutes past the hour. Tucker Carlson has gone off on an epic racist rant against Ketanji Brown Jackson. I'll get into that and be picking up your phone calls on the other side of this break. Stick around. 15 minutes past the hour.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Ukraine, by the way, is inviting Russian mothers to come to Ukraine to recover their sons who are held as prisoners of war. Fascinating.